message you're about to listen to is from Word of Fire Refiners Assembly Enugu, a ministry ordained by God for the salvation of lost souls and to moderate believers to finish well. You'll be blessed indeed as you listen. Something good is definitely about to happen to you. Happy listening.
If your amen is louder, your Pharaoh shall die.
God is giving us His peace this morning. Hallelujah.
You need to check your foundation. Your foundation gives birth to those evil powers. And that's why so many black men start well, but their finishing is bad. They are responsible for good starting, bad finishing. I have come also to discover that majority of the people who said, God said, I have the call of God. I look at them, it is the powers of your father's house arranging them for disgrace. And you know, sometimes I look at them, I smile. Have you settled the powers of your father's house that wants to remove you and separate you where there will be no divine covering in order to waste your life? In the book of Gideon, let's look at that. Just write it down. I'm going to be a little bit fast. Let me begin with the life of Abraham. Abraham, did you know that in Genesis chapter 12? Genesis chapter 12. Sorry, I'm a little bit fast because I'm really boiling. There are almost 75% of people that need to tell those evil powers, release me and let me go. That's the mystery behind some of you. When you close your eyes, you see yourself in your village. It's the powers of your father's house. They are just speaking one language every day. Say, oh girl, come back here. Wherever you are, they are calling you back home. You always close your eyes, you dream of seeing yourself in your father's house. It's the powers of your father's house. They are saying, we want you back here. We want you back here. All those dreams that take you back to your village, take you back to your father's house, is just the same voice of the evil powers of your father's house telling you, wherever you are going, we will certainly drag you back to this place. And that's why your first success begins when you deal with that terrible, frequent evil dreams of taking you to your village, to your father's house, to your village, to your father's house. And sometimes when they know that they really want to confuse you, they'll be now showing you your former compound, your former secondary school. Any dream that is referring to your past, it is the reach of the evil past of your father's house, telling you, we want you back to this same place. Wherever you are going, we want you back to this same place. Evil powers of your father's house can live the life of maintaining their mandate for 200 years. They don't bother. They can live the life of maintaining their mandate for 500 years. They don't bother. But the agenda is to make sure everyone born in this lineage remains at this spot. Remains at this spot. Remain at this spot. And that's why if you want to succeed as a black man, every day you do what we call foundational spiritual checkup. Like I said yesterday, when you see masquerade in the dream, they are the policemen of your father's house. They are the policemen of your father's house. They are chasing you to tell you, come back, madam. And they will rubbish your destiny. And by the time every other thing is working, you think they are all working, they will come in and scatter everything overnight. They can turn a whole palace to ashes overnight. They can scatter a beautiful marriage overnight. Some of the sisters say, I don't know, my husband just hated me. Have you ever sat down to study the father's house of your husband? How did the father ended up? Sometimes say, my husband does not want to stay at home. How will he stay at home when his father married 4 wives and is keeping you only in the house? No matter the level of church he goes and all the speaking in tongues, it can't work. Because the powers of his father's house will make sure that he has to marry 4 times 2 of his father. Or highest, maybe he has a little fire in his life as a believer. Then what he will be doing is he will keep you only in the house. Then he will be going out to reach other women to support as concubine. Because the blood of his father is still what is flowing in his life. Sisters, that's why I say pay very rapt attention so that you can cop the problem that is running through your family line. All of a sudden, your life is being celebrated. All of a sudden, the battery of your shining globe dims and begin to die down gradually. Then the whole crowd that have been shouting your ovation will say, oh, the powers of your father's house. In the book of Genesis, let me begin with the man called Abraham. Abraham has terrible foundation. That is the reason you see so many pastors now. You say, man of God, man of God, man of God. No, the powers of their father's house is raging. You see a pastor will divorce his first wife, said the first wife is a witch, married the second one, then he will come to the podium, give you reason. No. If you trace their life very well, their foundation is terribly bad. It's terribly bad. It's the powers of their father's house. It began with Abraham. In Genesis chapter 12, when God wanted to do wonders with Abraham, listen to what he said to Abraham. Abraham, he said, come out of thy father's house. Why? He knew that as long as Abraham is still attached to his father's house, the wonders will not happen. He knows that Abraham cannot become vibrant in doing exploit for God. So, Abraham, come out of thy father's house. Because the father's house of Abraham was a terrible place. His father's house was too bad. So he said, Abraham, come out of thy father's house. And the greatest mistake Abraham made, listen attentively, listen very well. Abraham was coming out of his father's house. He now decided to pick a property from his father's house. And the Lord said, Abraham, I'm saying you should come out of your father's house, and you are carrying what is the property that belongs to your father's house. There is trouble. And Abraham didn't know that God wanted to separate him from the evil parts of his father's house. But Abraham, out of pity, out of trying to become social, trying to be nice, trying to have a good name, he said, Lord, come, let us go. He picked Lot from his father's house, and the Lord departed from Abraham. Abraham never heard from God again. Despite all the promises, I'll make you a father of many nations, I'll make you to become this, I will bless thee, I will make thy name great, and I'll make you father of all nations, and all the nations of the earth shall call you a blessed father. Abraham never seen one of those promises coming to pass in his life. Why? There was just one exhibit from his father's house following him about. And Abraham's life was going down. Instead of enjoying the blessings of the Lord, there was a clash, there was a fight, there was a chaos, there was trouble. Serious conundrum was just happening everywhere until one day the power of God came upon the life of Abraham, and Lot was separated from Abraham. Then if you read Genesis chapter 12 very well, the Bible says, then chapter 15, the Bible says, he began to say, now Abraham, now that Lot has been separated from you. So there are certain things that will never happen to you if you are still connected to the powers of your father's house. If you are still connected to the idols of your father's house. And many of us, all those cords linking up left, right, center, backward, front, we've not broken those cords. And that's why all those terrible dreams are reflections that the powers of our father's house is still at work. Is still at work. Abraham had a terrible foundation, but he didn't deal with it on time. And he began telling lies. You know, he came to a city where King Abimelech was the king. You'll find that in Genesis chapter 20 verse 2. And they say, Abraham, oh, this woman is looking beautiful. Very beautiful, very beautiful. Abraham, is this your wife? Abraham said, no, it's not my wife. It's my sister. It's my sister. Abraham told lies. He was telling King Abimelech that his wife was not his wife. Meanwhile, his wife was his wife. But he said his wife was his sister. Those things was as a result of the evil past of his father's house, where he was coming from. And until King Abimelech discovered, I said, Abraham, why did you lie to us? We would have slept with your wife, but why did you lie? Please take your wife and go, get away from here. And Abraham took. When Abraham gave birth to Isaac, in Genesis chapter 26 verse 6. Genesis 26 verse 6. Abraham told a lie in Genesis 20 verse 2. Then his own son Isaac, when he also came to the same city where King Abimelech is still the same king, they said, this your wife is looking very beautiful. What is her name? He said, Rebecca. He said, Rebecca, you are looking beautiful. Isaac said, no, she's not my wife. She is my sister. The same lie his father told in Genesis 20 verse 2. The same lies Isaac the son told in Genesis 26 verse 6. Then when Isaac now gave birth to his own son, Jacob and Esau, they repeated the same lie he told down to his own face to him. And he said, when two of them came, Jacob and Esau, Isaac said, is that Esau? Jacob said, yes. Meanwhile, Jacob was not Esau. Esau was not Jacob. But the powers of his father's house that has laid a foundation that just keep going was magnifying, and his way. And when Jacob now grew up and gave birth to 12 sons, we call them the 12 tribes of Israel. One day the 11th tribe came to him, Simeon, Levi, Judah, and the rest, and said, he said, where is Joseph, your brother? He said, Joseph, wild animals ate him up, and he's dead. Meanwhile, they were the one who sold Joseph into slavery, and Joseph was not there. And these lies continue in that family line like that. When you come to the story of Judah has the foundation of immorality. Judah. Then when you trace the genealogies of Jesus, it came to the turn of David. The morality continues in the life of David. When David gave birth to his son Solomon, it was worse. When David gave birth to his son Absalom's own level of immorality was too bad that he collected David's wife, his father, took them to the top of the roof, naked them, and the whole Israelites were watching Absalom and his father's wife on top of the roof in the country of Judah. And he chased his father to the forest, and he was now sleeping with his father's naked, and all Israelites were there watching Absalom naked, lying on his father's wife on the clean top roof of David, his father. The powers of his father's house. Absalom did not know what was pushing him, but the evil powers of his father's house. If you look at the life of Gideon, in the book of Gideon, Judges chapter 6 verse 25. Just write it down. I'm going somewhere. Judges 6:25. Gideon woke up one day and said, I have the call of God. Just like I see some people say, I'll just be looking at them. I have the call of God. God has called me. I have the call of God. That's what Gideon was bubbling. He said, I want to work for God. I want to be a man of God. And the day he appeared before God and said, Gideon, what are you talking? He said, I have the call of God. I'm hearing the voice. God said, Gideon, you can't have the call of God with the kind of idol standing in your father's house. So sometimes when the idols of your father's house is speaking, you think I'm the one speaking. And the Lord said, Gideon, you want to do the work of God? Go to your father's house and pull down the idols of your father's house. If you don't pull it down, then there's going to be a mixture of terrible things happening in your life. This foundation is the root where the evil powers are being manifested from. Open your Bible to Lamentation, the book of Lamentation. Everybody open. That's why they are responsible. In this kind of hot message, the powers will just come say, sleep off. That's why you see some people sitting by your side, dozing. These people did not wake up throughout the night. They were not praying throughout the night. But when they are in the place where the fire will challenge them, they will cut the person off and the person will start dozing. It is the spirit behind slumbering spirit. I know of some people, you give them prayer point, pray this prayer point, they'll be sleeping with the prayer point in their hand. I know of some people, they'll be praying in the midst of hot prayers, they will doze off. The powers of their father's house. There are prayers that they do not want them to pray to the finishing, because they know if they get to the finishing, all the problems will be gone. So they will doze them with sleep. There are some people, even when they use alarm clock to say, wake me up to pray by 1 o'clock, the bell will ring and ring and ring until the battery dies. The powers will not allow him to get up. That is the activities of the evil powers of your father's house. Lamentation chapter 5. The book of Lamentation. Lamentation means weeping, terrible weeping. Lamentation chapter 5. Let's look at it quickly. Verse 7. Let's read together. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and will burn their iniquities. Yes, continue scrolling now. Listen. Your father sinned and they have died. But the Bible says no, that your father committed sin and died. It does not stop there. You, their offspring that is alive, you will pay for the sins your father committed. Our fathers have sinned. They are no more. But we are bearing the consequences of the iniquities of our father. That's why some of you who are from royal home, your father was a royal man, whether you call him Igwe 1 or Igwe 2 or Igwe 3. If some of the foundations with which that Igwe is sitting, the children will be rendered vagabond. The children can never amount to anything. If there's a bloodshed underneath the foundation of that Igwe your father is, things will not work. Or probably your father was a herbalist, terrible one, or is a hot dibia. The children will never, even when they rise up, there is a ladder that is going to sink suddenly one day. Look at what happened. Lamentation. Put it back. We need to look at the consequence. He said, look at it. Our fathers have sinned. They have died. Now we are alive to bear the consequences of our fathers' iniquities. Here's the next one now. Verse 2. Okay, verse 8. Servants have ruled over us. Is the reason, just hold on there, don't scroll, just keep it. Is the reason behind profitless hard labor. You are always serving people. Because it says servants have ruled over us. That means the spirit of slavery is as a result of the evil powers of your father's house. Servant has ruled over us. There is none to deliver us out of their hand. Verse 9. Look at it. Let me just be giving you. We got our bread with the peril of our life. Profitless. Before you eat, hard. Before you drink, you pay with your last blood. They are getting their bread at the expense of their life because of the sword of the wilderness, the evil sword. Yes, verse 10. Look at it now. Our skin was black. That is what we call terrible hardship. Our skin was black and oven because of terrible famine. When you discover that you can't really have abundance, you are feeding from hand to mouth, you can't meet up with your daily need. It's as a result of the evil powers of your father's house. That terrible thing you are standing on, calling your foundation. They ravished the women in Zion. All those women and men who used to experience rape, let me tell you now, it's as a result of the evil powers of your father's house. Rape is activities of the iniquity and consequences your father has committed. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in city, talking about rape. As a result of the consequences of the evil foundation, some of us. Continue. Let me give you two more. Princes are hanged up by their hand. You rise and they say, in our family, this one has bad 3 cars. He has not the first person to go to university. But you are going to be hanged up. There's going to be a sudden cutoff and you will sink to the grave. The last one, and the faces of elders were not honored. Those are the kind of families where you see elders, they don't last. Nobody get up to 80, nobody get to 90. They die at 50, die at 42. They say gone too soon. Then let me show you the last one. So when you go home, read Lamentation 5 verse 7. The powers of your father's house will always want you to be paying for the consequences of the iniquities of your father. How did your father's house accumulate evil powers? Exodus chapter 20. Put it on the screen. Exodus 20. Put it there. That is why this morning is not the money. That's why you see an African lady looking beautiful, no husband. The power say no. In your family, nobody get to that level. Or somebody in your father's house, when they get married, they come back, get married, come back. This one get married, come back. There's a family, everybody there is a divorcee. With 3 children, 2 children. Then the woman who was meant to enjoy the glory of her grandchildren has now become the one laboring to feed all the fatherless children. Vagabond. The powers of your father's house. The powers of your father's house will make sure that everybody in the house there, before you get any good thing, your old good age. Everything, your old good age. Everything, your old good age. There is something that is happening underneath your foundation. Exodus 20 verse 5. Let's look at why these powers have ravaged the families of many black people. Exodus 20, verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. He's talking about images, idols. Because some of you don't know the mystery. You just keep going here. You come to Word of Fire, go to Fire of Fire, go to Broom of Fire, go to Stone of Fire. You just keep playing with your life, and you are giving access to the powers underneath your foundation. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to graven image, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Listen now. Jealous, I visit the iniquities of the fathers upon their children unto their third and fourth generation of them that hate me. A generation is made up of 40 years. One generation is 40 years. So by the time God said, if your father commit iniquities, I will visit them to their fourth generation. That means 120 years after the consequences of the sin of your father, I will keep visiting the children. I will visit them. That's why you see some people today speaking American English, preaching from the Bible. You say he is worded, but the powers of his father's house says, we permit you to speak American English, we permit you to be quoting scriptures, but for you to make progress, no. And by the time you want to take one step of progress, they point to the graveyard of untimely burials in your father's house. The powers of your father's house. These images is what brought the evil powers supervising our destiny. Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 9. Please just display it. Let them see it. Deuteronomy 5, verse 9. Thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquities of the father. You see, he's repeating the same thing all over the pages of the Bible. And when you see God repeating one thing all over again, beloved, is something every believer must take very, very seriously. Now, how do you know if the powers of your father's house are at work? I'll give you few signs to know whether they are really carrying out activities in your life. Number one, the evil powers of your father's house, they are at work. If you notice that no matter your talent, no matter your giftings, you remain in total obscurity, then it's a sign that the powers of your father's house. You can see a lot of Christians, they are talented, they are gifted, they are full of ideas, full of visions, full of everything, full of energy, full of strength. Before you talk one, they will give you 10 on a straight line. You begin to wonder, how come this man is still where he is? The powers of his father's house, they have caged him. The powers of your father's house will build a hot house for you and keep you inside and said, don't move. I remember a man in Lagos some few years ago. He studied in the university, he made first class. So by the time he made first class, he doesn't have to go for masters. When you make first class, then I don't know now, they give you a waiver, you go for your PhD. So he made first class, then he went for PhD. And traveled abroad, made his PhD. And by the time he came back, they did a very big party, very intelligent, from the eastern part of Nigeria here. And all of a sudden, when the party ended, the elders of his village didn't come. Members of his father's house from the village didn't come. But when the party finished, about 10 men knocked on the door of his flat one morning, and he opened door. He saw his uncle, his uncle's brother, his father's father, about 10 of them. And some of them were coming in with walking stick, even though they had their 2 legs still hanging. And they entered. And he said, uncle, what happened? I hope nobody died. They said, no.